So, from one tragic thing to another, we're now on part five, which is so in the lyrics for this one, the one before for Charlie's was Sweet Jesus, hear my prayer, and this one is Sweet Jesus doesn't care. And that's because in the, I believe it's the opening song of Les Mis, you have like all of this, like the indentured servants, prison workers, like doing all their manual labor, and they're singing about like this sucks, which like yeah, you're doing prison labor in France in 18 whatever. So some of the prisoners, like one of them says like, oh God, sweet Jesus, hear my prayer," and all the other prisoners respond, "Sweet Jesus doesn't care." And that's like, okay, bars. But also again, like the fact that it's like we have Charlie and then Lucas and they follow right after each other, I think is a, it's nice that the lyrics then worked out that way. I just love that. But also like I think it's kind of telling, like, it's almost like a Charlie and Lucas call and response. Like, that this is their kind of personalities of, like, they could, in season one, they could be sitting here literally having a conversation about, like, well, I'm going to pray about it. And Charlie would be like, or Lucas would be like, well, do that, but it doesn't mean shit. No one's listening. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, I just love the way that those lyrics worked out as their titles.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So jumping into
Oh.
Mr.
Mm.
Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
we come into a moment we've seen before, which is Maya's "Are your two left boots incapable of walking?" line. And we get to see a little bit more of Lucas's reaction to that, which is that he's like, he thinks it's funny. Like, he's like, I love it when they get really mad like that because they're so stupid. And Sean's like, okay, you need to stop with your agitating. But basically, he explains that with Issa now as an actress, they're going to need someone else to be the stage manager, and he wants to give him that role. And Lucas is a little reluctant, but then he has this one of my favorite lines in the episode. He says, "Are you sure that's a good idea? I mean, I don't even know what show we're doing." And Sean's like, "Seriously?" And Lucas says, "Look, you think I pay attention to any of this? If I could get away with wearing earplugs all day, I would." And I just love that line again. That's kind of, there's a lot of like quintessential character lines in this episode,
Yeah.
and the earplugs line is like so Lucas, like all across the board, all across the seasons. If he could get away with wearing earplugs all day, he would.
Lucas, if you wore earplugs all day, you wouldn't be able to hear Riley's voice, so I don't think you would do that.
It's true. You're right. So there's a possibility that Lucas is open to maybe being stage manager, but first, not everyone is sold on this, and he has to go through one more step, which is to talk to Jack. So they are sitting in his office. He's once again across the desk from him. At least this time he's not in trouble though. And Jack kind of point blank is like, listen, like, I just need to be clear that like you're not gonna make this go to shit, and I'm gonna have to like deal with it, or we're gonna waste a lot of money. Which, let me just say, a little bit of foreshadowing for next season, because Lucas is stage managing, as we know, gets a little bit derailed. But basically, Jack's like, I just need to get confirmation that you're not gonna fuck this up. And I highlighted this line in series thematic purple, where Lucas responds, "Oh, how I enjoy our little chats. Your confidence in me is earth shattering." And it's like, it's a joke here, but the fact that their relationship is going to develop so much, and it's really going to become like Jack as his number one advocate, and who does have so much confidence and belief in him, is so special to me. So I really wanted to highlight that. And then another line that is important in here, we've talked a lot about the whole Lucas's like, when I care about something you'll know motif. He says here in this that like, yes, he does not care about the show, he couldn't care less about that, but I do care about my crew. This reflects back on all of us, and I know it's important to them, so I'm not going to let them down. I think again that's such a display of Lucas's character, of like, he doesn't really care about himself, he doesn't really care about most things, but the things that he does, he will do what he needs to do to protect them. And in this case, that's the techie crew.
It's very cute. And Lucas is not cute very often, but when he says, "So I'm not gonna let them down," it's like, I see you. You're just a little cutie.
Yes, I agree. That's just one thing about like, Nat and I were talking about this today for a reason I can't talk about yet. But the fact that like Lucas, yeah, is like quintessentially you wouldn't think like, oh, he's so cute. But then like we were talking about this moment, the moment in season three, like with Charlie and Lucas's friendship, where he asks for advice on the boots, and then Riley later says when he's packing, where she's like, "Oh, are you gonna take like the boots Lucas gave you?" And Charlie's like, "Yeah, they were great." And she's like, "It was so cute that you like asked him for advice on that. Like, he doesn't think it's cute, but it is cute. You guys are so cute." Like, Riley is correct, basically, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
They are so cute, just adorable. So then we go into rehearsals. We're jumping right in. He's like, "Okay, I got this job now. I'm gonna do it." And Jade has this line where Issa's not there anymore, and Jade says, "It's weird without Isadora and heavy on the testosterone." And like, what a great line for her, because she does not talk that much in the first season. But to have a line that's just so pointed about, like, because she has such a unique relationship with all those techie boys of like, "You're like my brothers, and I love you, but also like you drive me crazy half the time." I think that's like a good just little hint at that, of like that dynamic that she shares with them.
Yeah, where it's
Um,
like she's not super close with Issa, but she kind of counts on that like more feminine energy just to like balance it out a little bit.
yeah, because it's just her now, and it's a little bit, foreshadowing too, because of the fact that like Issa's taken a veer in this episode, and she doesn't really come back. Is the truth of the matter. Like, she never comes back in the same way that they were in this season. So Jade kind of becomes the techie girl
The
after
Techie
this.
Girl, the spin-off show about Jade,
I would watch
the Techie Girl. She could have a little blog called The Techie Girl.
That'd be good. She could have like a little web series,
She
like a little
could.
mini series on the Ambition website, in the world where there's an Ambition website that's not a Tumblr blog. So basically, we're moving on. We have another little reiteration of Dave calling it the Miserables, and
I
Lucas
love that.
has.
I love this line. It's so good. I can just imagine the timing would be impeccable.
So Dave says it's the Miserables, and Lucas says, "Oh, so it's autobiographical." And what I love about that moment is not only is that a nice exchange between the two of them, but the fact that Lucas laughs at his own joke is like, I love him. He's so silly. Like, he's such a kind of tragic character. Like, he's not
Mhm.
a comedic character in the show at all, but he's also so fucking funny. Like, he is like one of the, like, I think it's so funny that like the characters who are the most tragic, arguably, Lucas, Charlie, and Farkle, are also like some of the funniest characters in the entire show. Like, just the way that they interact with the world and the lines that they have, all in different ways.
Yeah.
But it's
I
just
think
like,
that makes sense though, because if you have had tragedy, you can like, I don't know, I guess it depends because some people don't like dark humor or anything. But
mhm.
it's like, I think, some of the best comedy shows are the saddest ones, like Fleabag and Ted
Yeah.
Lasso. Like they have these really emotional things in them. And then it's like, but those are like just so good. And even like if you think about like Stephen Colbert, like I don't know if you know his backstory, but he like lost like most of his siblings
Hmm.
and at a young age and his mom, I think, or something. And like that, made him go to comedy. Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
It makes sense. But
And
also
I think there's a
Lucas.
lot of stuff too about like
Mhm.
Robin Williams had like a really complicated past, and like obviously we know dealt with like mental illness and depression, and so it's kind of like comedy as like an escape from that. And I
Mhm.
definitely think that's Lucas's case, is that he often deflects with like snarky humor to kind of like not have to like focus on reality, basically. If he's like, if I deflect with this, I don't have to face the fact that like I have all this other shit I don't want to deal with. So it's really interesting.
And then he says quite an iconic line of, okay, let's put on a fucking musical, which is actually like you can imagine it in the Jen gift set.
Yeah, yeah. And it's also like that's kind of like, I think like a kind of quintessential ambition-y line. Like, the whole show is let's put on a fucking musical. Like, that is the whole show. That is the show, is musical. So it's not like that, or it's the kind of thing of like you could imagine that being the beginning of like a real video on Instagram, of like all of their like musical numbers and stuff like that. So then we have this performance, which is Yogi doing, which is like, okay, the casting of him as Gavroche, a little on the nose, just because he's like short and Gavroche is like a child. Like, it's like, okay, Angela, you need creativity. But he would kill this song, so that's okay. He does Little People, which is a not one of the most famous lines from Les Mis, but it's like a pretty big one. So we get to see that just as like a nice little blip, since Lucas doesn't sing, so we're not going to see him perform. And it's like a nice little interlude here.
Yeah, I like it. I like a little montage kind of vibe.
Again, passing the time in a unique way.
Yeah, I mean, another like very small description.
Mm-hmm.
You were just really like, I'm not gonna help you imagine this.
Listen, sometimes I just gotta get it out there. Sometimes it's like, here's the number, gotta do a little bit of the work by yourself. Obviously, I get better about that later, but there are just some numbers where it's like, I don't have that much to say about this, so I'm just gonna put it out there and let you all imagine it. So I definitely do more of that in earlier seasons, but sometimes, even now, it's just like, sometimes there's songs where I'm like, I just gotta get this in there and then move on with my life. So the song has happened. It's like, okay, great, we're jumping into that evening, and we also get the sense that by the time the numbers ended, again, time transitions in this episode, they kind of happen through music, and so now we're in dress rehearsal week. So kind of the context for that is, when you have dress rehearsals, in musical theater, it's like you are at school well into the night. Like, when we used to do dress rehearsals, like the week before performances, it was like we'd be there from like, I mean, obviously we were at school first, so we'd be like at school till about 2, and then it would be like 2 to 8 p.m. was like rehearsal. So that's why, I mean, Lucas doesn't like ever go home anyway, so that's beside the point, but like that's why he's coming home like so late as well when he is going home. Because then the techies have to stay later too. Like, it was always like, okay, we'd do our rehearsals, we get our notes, and then we'd leave. But then the techies have to like clean up and like make sure everything's all set. So like they probably would leave more like 9 or like 10 at the worst. If they're like if Jeff is working on his lighting design and he's like gotta get it figured out that day, like he's gonna be there pretty late. So let's go unpaid labor.
Yeah, as teenagers putting in all this work, it's like insane.
If it's your passion. Unfortunately for Lucas, it's not his passion, but keeps him out of the house, so he doesn't mind, I guess. So he does go back to the apartment that night, though. And the thing,
really good mood as well.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, the thing about it is like, he's like humming, like, wow, he's in a good mood. Also, it proves that like he's not like completely tone deaf or like doesn't have any sense of music. If he's humming it, like if he picked it up during rehearsal and he knows the general like rhythm of it, like, could he say the words? No, but like he knows the rhythm. It's like he's got something in his little brain. He's not completely I think as like anti-music as he acts like he is.
He's not immune to the jaunty tune of Master of the House.
He is not immune to musical propaganda. But yes, then that mood classically does not last long.
I feel like this would be like, we should definitely go through this at some point, maybe when we've gone through more seasons, but like top 5 or top 10 most harrowing scenes in the whole series.
Ooh, okay. You gotta write that down somewhere so we can come back to that. We definitely should do like at some point like top blank things. Like, I've thought about we should do like top like this would be like a later thing similarly, but like maybe like top 10 quintessential X quotes. So like, what are your, when the show is done, like what are your top 10, like this is a Charlie quote, like this is a Farkle quote, like I thought that would be fun to do sometime too. So we just need to start making a list of like, what are our list episodes gonna be. But yeah, the more we can hedge not talking about this, but now we're gonna talk about it. So, yeah, this is kind of like, again, in terms of setting up precedents in this episode and really starting to peel layers back, we obviously know that this is a thing, you know, like we've talked about it. People have talked about it in the show. Like it's been mentioned in 105. It's been mentioned here and there just in little, you know, asides or like to give Riley context about things. But like this is our first true experience of it, and it's our first true experience of it through Lucas's not perspective, but like from his actual lived world versus someone telling Riley about it. And I think that, like, boy, does it introduces itself and then it is always kind of hanging in the background. So
It's so sad, and honestly, like the way you describe it is like so, like it's so good, but it's like so dark. Like it's
oh,
just
thank
like
you. Yeah,
the
I mean,
light, the pieces of scenery, and like it's almost like the way you say that. I mean, I know you just mean like parts of the house, but it's like pieces of the scenery is so like theater, but it's also like this whole place is just like not is not a home. Like it doesn't
yeah, it's like
the scenery
staged.
read, yeah, like a house.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think I can say in terms of writing, this whole storyline, you know, like the domestic abuse, Lucas, Grace, Kenneth thing, it's very special to me. It's really important to be writing it, and I take it really seriously, and I'm really passionate about it, and I think it's such a good piece of the story, but it definitely is one of the most delicate things that we write because you know we want to do it justice. We one thing I really want to avoid is melodramatizing it because it's a very dramatic thing. It's a very serious thing and it's, you know, hard, but at the same time like I don't want it to feel like cuz when it's lived and it's real, it's like you're just living it. You know, it's like you're in that moment and you're not I don't want to like kind of what's the word? It's like exploit it in a way. You know, like
yeah.
I want it to
Hmm.
feel emotional because it is emotional and it's complicated and it's something like we do that with a lot of things on this show. I mean, when we tackle Farkle in season 2, it's the kind of same thing. Like we want to just really talk about these things and explore these things and try to make them feel empathetic and like lived in. I think it's a similar thing with again, poor fucking Lucas, but like Lucas in season 3 with the Missy stuff, like it was the same kind of thing. Like these are the issues that are the hardest to write because I really want to do them justice and kind of like convey it with the right tone and just the right amount of like this is important and horrible and like dark without overdoing it, but at the same time like I don't want to underserve it either. So these are definitely moments that are the most we want to get that like delicate balance right. So thanks for saying that it was well written.
Mm, of
And
course.
this is just the tip of the iceberg, but you know.
I don't know, there's just something about the whole that whole paragraph that's very like the crunching and
It's very
shuttered. There's just these like it's just something about it is very um like there's just more sharpness to it that kind of
mhm.
evokes the right mood.
I think that it is as a moment, the way it's written, it's kind of more focused on imagery and
Mm,
senses, and
mm-hmm,
I think a reason for that is I highlighted the line something about it doesn't feel quite right, and he immediately tenses up. Pieces of the scenery begin to jump out at him, like just that. I think is kind of what's being reflected in the way it's written,
mm,
because I wanted to kind of convey like that this is the way Lucas lives, where like he's so sharp in his awareness of his surroundings and he's always like kind of slightly on edge and he can flip it on in an instant. That's that tension of like he immediately tenses up. It's like and then he all his senses are heightened. Like he's seeing things he wasn't noticing
mm-hmm.
before. He's listening. It's
Yeah.
like that's the way that he lives. And I wanted to kind of like really hone in on that. And I think that that's why the imagery becomes stronger
Mm,
after that is introduced.
yeah, that's really effective. Even just like his eyes adjust to the dark. It's like the dark,
Right, like the
a
fact that the
dark
apartment is
feeling,
dark too.
but
Like
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it just works so well.
So then, yes, there's the thing about there's a broken vase on the floor and he almost steps on it, and I think like that audio imagery is like, I don't know if there's a term for audio, it's not imagery because you're listening to it, but like that kind
I
of
know,
like
yeah, I feel like
detail
that is
is,
the right word.
there is some word for it, I just don't know what it is right now. I mean, it's like
Mm-hmm.
aural, like AURAL is like
Mm-hmm.
a term. I know that because I play a lot of crossword puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
But so we have that piece, and he's like trying to figure out. I think this beat here too is so interesting because in this moment, like when he's like calling out for Grace and there's no answer, and he's very cautious. It's like he still doesn't know if the danger is active, and that's a big piece too. Is like, is he still there? And I'm gonna have to deal with him. And that's where this I wrote in my notes, I called it the Chekhov switchblade. That's where
Mm-hmm.
that final, I remember when we were writing this episode, like I just said to Esther, I was like, this is the moment where we're going to justify having him have that switchblade. Because, in the first episode, in the pilot, like, you read that and you're like, who is this edgelord? Like, he has a switchblade. Like, put that away. Like, you're in school. Like, and it was it's almost like a joke. Like, it's like, he's so silly. But then I like, even from the beginning, I was like, this is the moment where we justify that detail, because we now are just immediately in the scene we get when his hand drifts for that pocket where his switchblade is. We immediately understand why he has it, because he might have to use it if the worst comes to worst. That's his only defense.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting as well here how you don't ever actually mention Grace. Like you
Mm-hmm.
say, he calls out to his mum, and we don't see his mother, and she's not. But it's very much like it's almost like she's like not even there. Like it's
Yeah.
all very like removed, which is
Mm-hmm.
so again like he like this is like a messed up situation. Like Lucas is like, I might have to use a weapon right now because this is just like and this is not a this is hostile.
Yeah. I might have to use a weapon on my father depending on the situation. Yeah.
Ugh,
It's
he
fucked up.
finds a mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But I think, yeah, I think you're right that like the fact that Grace in this moment isn't even a person. Like, she's just this kind of, and like I'm pretty sure like we haven't met her yet either. Like, she has not been introduced. We've never seen her. And so
oh,
the fact that she's this kind of off-screen presence that he's interfacing with, because I believe the first time we see her is in 111, and it
oh,
mentions in that episode like that she's got the faded bruises, that she's covered with makeup, and that's the
mm,
first time that we physically see her in an episode. It's the first time that her presence is there rather than just being reacted to. So yeah, it's just really, I mean, I could talk forever about Grace, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about her later, but yeah,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so well done. Like you definitely you can like it's about that moment, but then like because it's sort of like removed, it has that it has like almost more feeling because it's not playing it up. It's not like here's like all this like shouting or like seeing it
Hmm.
or here's seeing like some beaten up person. It's like
Yeah, I
this
mean,
is
that was really
about
big too. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like we didn't want to, in choosing not to show her, but just have Lucas react to her. It keeps the focus on Lucas, which as a viewer, that's the character we're with right now. That's where we're
Hmm.
focused. But like there's plenty of room for Grace later. Rest assured in season 4. But right now it's like we're with Lucas, but also it's just I want to talk about this issue, but I'm not here to do the like let's glorify battered women on
Hmm.
screen, like we can get the emotion and the heaviness of it without having to see it and exploit it.
Yeah.
I think and even in like when we address it with Lucas, like in season 2, and we know when we get to that episode I'll have a mental breakdown because it's my favorite episode. But like in the episode where they're talking about this and he has come to school with the bruises, like even then it's still like pretty subtle. Like it's not like look how like beat up he is. It's just like you see enough to know.
Mm.
And you don't even know that everything else is. We know Lucas like wears long sleeves all the time and he wears jeans all the time. He doesn't show his limbs, he doesn't show his knees. Like that's just because he's like insecure, but it's also because of that. And I think like I always wanted to try and stay true to that, where it's like you only need just a little to get a lot in scenes like this.
Yeah. And I feel like you didn't describe um like his expression too much. It's just like it's panicked. But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it would be, you would see that like he's not, you see that he's not surprised. You see that he knows exactly what he's gonna walk in on, but he's trying not to believe it.
Yeah.
And then obviously it is happening.
And I like the two, the really interesting kind of dynamic that changes over the course of the show. So we'll get to talk about it, but this kind of dynamic that Grace and Lucas have right now, where it's like
Mhm.
he kind of describes it in season 3 a little bit to Riley, but that they feel more like prison mates than like family. And so like in this moment here, we're seeing, him immediately jump into action of like, okay, fuck, I have to help her, I have to figure this out. And this is something that you can kind of also tell, even though he's panicked and it's like scary, they've done this before. Like it's not like he's not going to freak out and call 911 or whatever, because they're not going to call 911.
Yeah.
Like he's just going to deal with it himself. And I think we see the like adrenaline, I just got to do it, just got to fix it, just got to help her. That's the focus right now. I can't process or think about the actual reality of this. And then we
Yeah.
kind of get the aftermath of that
Hmm.
in the next scene when he's sitting there in Jack's office and he's just like dissociated, like he's just not
Yeah.
there.
He's so dissociated from it. Like the trauma response is real. He's
Mm-hmm.
like he's living, he's trying not to live that moment over and over again
Yeah.
by not living in his mind at all. And I mean, gosh, yeah, it's like no wonder he like does, breaks the rules and doesn't turn up to class and whatnot. Like you can't function like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that's, again, the more episodes we get into this, the more we'll talk about this, but I think that that's so true. Like, when you don't take into consideration, and this is true for every character, but when you don't take into consideration what is going on behind the scenes underneath the surface, it's
Mm.
really easy to write people off for their behavior. Like we know so many people write Lucas off all the time for his like shitty attitude, and it's like, yeah, he's got no excuse. He's got a shitty attitude sometimes, but like at the same time, again, like right, like you said, like when you are having a PTSD experience, when you have trauma that you're not addressing and you're not healing, like there's just some things you can't really control how you're going to react to it, or you just and we know like for a fact like he has not learned, we talked about this 105, he has not learned the proper coping mechanisms
No.
to be able to deal with this. And I think you could say the same thing about, Farkle in season 2 of like everyone's just like, oh, Farkle's just dramatic, like Farkle's just, an ungrateful bitch, like he caused all this, he brought it on himself, but like he has undiagnosed bipolar disorder that is giving him manic depression. Like those are shit that you can't be manic and depressed, but you get what I mean. Like it's like that's like,
Mm-hmm.
and then with Charlie, it's like no one ever knows what's going on with Charlie. They all just think he's like a freak or like selfish, but it's like he has this whole inner like devastating anxiety thing going on. That's like, it's just like that's just the thing. Is like you really just, you don't know, and I think that that's something
Yeah.
that the show explores a lot. Is like give people grace because
Yeah.
you just don't fucking know.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm just so glad that, and I guess it's like that is one of the ways that that ambition, I mean, like AAA is special because like they have Eric and
Mm-hmm.
Jack is so compassionate and like ready to take action, and Eric is so compassionate and like ready to help. And if
Yes.
there wasn't those two, and like even like Sean and Harper, like, you know, for all of Sean and Angela's failings, like if it
they
wasn't
do they
that,
do care.
they care,
Yeah.
exactly. If it wasn't that group of people, like these kids would literally just like have probably died. So
No, yeah,
so
totally.
like we have to be grateful for Jarek so much.
Yeah, so true. I mean, and that's true in the scene. Like, as Jack comes in, I think this scene is really interesting because we know at this point in season one, Jack and Lucas have a very weird relationship
Mm.
because in season one, still at this point, Jack still is frustrated with him at times and is like, why are you making, like, could you just get it together? Like, yeah, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for you. Like, but Lucas loves that because he's like, attention, and I'm not gonna get beat up by him, but I can just cause a lot of trouble, and he can't. Well, in his head, he's like, he can't kick me out because I'm here for a special reason. And season two is gonna really bite that in the butt. But like, I think that they have this weird dynamic, but I think in this is one of those examples of the moments where I think just kind of through no initiation of their own, but it's just like when you are trying to help someone through this, like, you are building
Mm.
a foundation for trust. Or like, even though Lucas is not in the scene like very receptive, it's still like the fact that Jack called him in and sat down with him
Mm-hmm.
and is like, listen, like, I'm glad things are okay, but do you want to talk? Like, and the fact that it's Jack doing that and not Jack just
Mm-hmm.
like pawning him off to Eric, like, you deal with this. Like, he's also putting in that time and that effort. I think because he does send. I mean, Jack's not stupid. Like, Jack might be frustrated with Lucas, but I know he knows, like, one of the reasons Lucas is acting out is because he wants attention and he wants it from me. So the fact that he like plays this delicate balance with him, I think we're seeing the flip side of that here, where it's like, it's so interesting because I feel like we've talked about this in the group chat, but a big part of it too is like Lucas becomes more humanized once Riley enters the show and once she like kind of allows other people to see Lucas's humanity. And I think that's a big thing with Jack. Like, I think Riley is instrumental in allowing the doors to open between Jack and Lucas because Lucas becomes less feral once
Mm.
Riley's introduced, which allows Jack to see more of his like true colors and like all of the layers to him versus just like, you're being really annoying. And so I think that now, 9 episodes in since Riley's introduction, like, we're now seeing more of Jack's. I think this episode is a moment, a snapshot of that evolution of him
Mm-hmm.
starting to kind of change his perspective on Lucas.
Yeah, I mean, and he doesn't just become less feral because of Riley, but also Riley like talks. I mean, Jack kind of becomes less feral because of Riley as well. Like Riley kind of
True,
talks
yeah.
him into being more accepting and open. So
That's
in
true.
conclusion, Riley Matthews is the best.
Oh, that's true. I mean, let me tell you, we're gonna at some point we are really gonna get into what the frick would have happened if Riley had never shown up because she is the catalyst. That is for
Mm,
sure.
gosh,
Um,
that is a striking thought, and honestly, like you can almost like I feel like it, if it was like a magical show, someone would dream about that
hmm,
happening and
hmm, hmm.
interesting.
Interesting.
You're making that make me think that's gonna happen.
I don't know. Season 5. Who knows? So far, I don't know. Ring the bell. Ring my bell. But yeah,
Love
we'll
it.
come back to that someday. um, so yeah, so still going. Jack's checking in with Lucas. One detail that even when I wrote it, I was like, I really like this detail that I'm writing. Is
Ooh,
when Jack's trying to talk to Lucas and trying to get him to engage, and Lucas is fixated on the vase that's on Jack's desk because it looks like the vase that was on the floor in his apartment. And it's just,
ooh,
again, like
yeah.
that kind of thing of fighting the PTSD of like being
Mm-hmm.
triggered by little things like that and just not being able to like let it go. I really like that detail.
Yeah, that's really good. And like he's not listening, which is,
No.
I mean, it's like, of course he gets in trouble because he doesn't listen. And the thing is then he probably, a lot of the time, Lucas probably knows he's not listening. And so he kind of acts out like in order to kind of shield that,
Mm-hmm.
and in order to shield like that he hasn't been listening, doesn't know what's going on. But at this point, he's just like so little poor baby, and he just is like, no, no.
Yeah. I think this scene is interesting too because I think just, based on the context and some of the things that are being said and the way Jack's approaching it, I feel like it would be a fair assumption to say that this is like the first time the two of them are having this conversation. Like, Jack says, like, as far as he understands it, this isn't the first time things like this have happened. And he's like trying to have these initial conversations with Lucas, where it's like, obviously, Jack knows this because the reason that Lucas is there is because someone came to him, that secret person, and was like, this is a really fucked up situation. You can help. Or can you do me a favor and help?
Mm-hmm.
And so he knows, but I feel like this is the first time that he is trying to meet Lucas in the middle on that and like actually engage on this thing that they don't talk about that both of them kind of know is a factor in why he's even there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's really interesting, but I think on that same front though, like, the fact that Jack is trying to do the right, and he's still trying to figure out how to talk to Lucas at this point. Like, they do not have the rapport that they have in season 3, so like he's still trying to figure out, what do I say here? And Lucas's instinctive reaction of, I don't see why you'd bother to ask now since no one's ever bothered to care much before, is also indicative of that. That's like, Jack's never asked this when this has happened in the past. When I came to school in second semester freshman year and had bruises on my arm or whatever, it's like, no one said anything, no one cared. So it's a really interesting kind of like interesting reflection on the newness of this situation between the two of them, and just a reflection on like Lucas's perspective on what other people think about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a moment for Jack because, like it says, how he begins to argue, but then he realizes he can't because Lucas isn't in the state, but also he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas is right.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, this is like a little kick up the bum for Jack. Like, you've
Yeah.
been here, you've like helped him in this like passive way. Like,
But you
maybe
haven't actually.
thinking about, yeah.
And it's interesting too that Jack says there are systems in place to help him. All he has to do is ask. Two reasons that's interesting. The first reason is that, again, I think it is really important that it's emphasizing like Lucas has to take the initiative, and this is something that occurs all throughout seasons 1 through 3. Is like, they cannot help him unless, like, they're always saying like, Lucas, you just need to tell us what's happening. If you come forward, we can get things in place. But that's such a big thing about domestic abuse, is the abused cannot feel like they can't come forward,
Yeah.
and that's such a big piece of it. So there's that angle that I think is interesting, but also their systems in place thing. I think that also shows how new this is to Jack, because as we know in season 2, like, one of his huge frustrations is that he gets stuck in the system where he's like, I can't get Lucas the help he needs because the system's broken.
Yeah.
But at
He's
this
like,
point, he
he
doesn't
doesn't
realize
even
that.
realize, yeah. Oof. And then Lucas just goes to rehearsal. He's like,
Yep.
he's that out of it that he would leave. Oh, no, it's too much. Like, he's leaving Jack. He's like, I just gotta go and like do this thing. But also like it's one of the reasons why he's so loyal and protective of other people, is because he's this like responsible guy in his heart, and he is loyal to his crew, and then he's like gonna go lead them, and
Mm-hmm.
even though he's just in the state, it's just sad.
Yeah. And that brings us into we're starting to get into the point of the episode where, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, the first half of the episode, except maybe with the exception of On My Own, because that song's iconic,
Mm-hmm.
it's been a little bit of like, we gotta put some Les Mis songs in here, so let's put some Les Mis songs in here and have some fun
Mm-hmm.
with it. But we're now getting to the point where it's like the first songs are like, woohoo, Les Mis, and then like the last like 4 songs in this episode are like, bam, bam, bam,
Mm-hmm.
like just like gutting.
Yes.
So we're starting to get to that with Bring Him Home. I think this is one of my favorite Les Mis songs. I just think it's so beautiful and like sweet. The
Mm-hmm.
context of it, for people who don't know much about Les Mis, is so that the main, I mean, it's an ensemble show, but the main-ish kind of dude, Jean Valjean, he has kind of taken on this mentor-y protective dynamic with Marius, who's like the young love interesty strapping guy. And part of that is because Jean Valjean's pseudo daughter Cosette is like in love with Marius, but also because they just have been in this war moment, rebellion moment together. And so he's like, this whole song for him in the show is like, okay, he's scared and afraid and young and he has his whole life left to live. God, if you can hear me, take me and let him live. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like this really interesting, just it's very sweet, like very poignant song. And Ambition, two kind of sides to it. I you know, I've highlighted some lines here that it says are interesting. As it's split between Zay and Jack, because Zay is playing Jean Valjean. Mm-hmm. So I think that that's really interesting because it kind of allows the song to be more pointed from Jack, because as we know, Jack is not, like, if this was season 2, Jack would sing the whole song by himself because he is in that mode with Lucas. Right. He's not quite there yet in season 1. So I think it's interesting. It kind of allows him to take the lines that feel applicable to him, mm-hmm. but not go as far as the, like, really, really deep lines. So, like, I mean, even here, like, as I'm looking at it now, like, I mentioned in the original thing, like, he's like the son I might have known, and God had granted me a son. I don't necessarily know that I would, now, looking back, that I would have Jack sing that one, because he's not quite there yet. Again, right. Season 2, sure. Season 3, obviously, but, like, maybe not here, but that line, like, bring him peace, bring him joy, he's young, he's only a boy, and, like, he's young, he's afraid, like, those are all definitely Jack lines. So you have that piece of it, and then also just, like, Zay is an incredible performer, so I'm sure he was amazing. So
of course. I mean, the actual description of it again is so short. It's just like, Zay brings the number to a close, demonstrating his lovely falsetto. It's just like,
king.
That's it. He just killed it. That's all.
And I'm sure he did. Served.
Oh, he 100% did. And, like, you know, he's, like, the best. I feel like the best person to sing, like, alongside. Because I feel like if it was, like, Riley, it would be, like, over the top, you know, but, like, and I don't know, there's just something about it, like, Zay's very much, like, the bystander. He just kind of, like, observes a lot of people, and
yeah, in this episode kind of, especially, he's more in the background, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't make sense for anyone else to have sung it, because they're all kind of doing these other things, and Zay's just kind of like, oh my God.
I'm here having my lead, you know, what's up?
Yeah.
Being amazing. Yeah, it reminds me of, I just had this thought to myself the other day, because let me tell you, so this episode, you know, is, like, really fucking long. Like, this podcast is going to be, like, what, like 4 hours? But I warned Maddi already. I said, when we get to the Into the Woods episode, buddy, just you wait, because that shit is going to be really long, because I'm obsessed with that show. But I was thinking about this the other day in terms of, like, people, the fact that these characters are watching each other as well, like, when they perform in school and when they're performing musicals, you know, like backstage or whatever. Again, this is to lighten the mood a little bit. This is not related to this musical, but I was thinking, I was listening to Into the Woods the other day, and there is a song in it that is Any Moment in the Woods, and that's, like, when the prince, so Zay played the prince, Cinderella's prince in Ambition, and Yindra played the baker's wife, and in the show, they, like, the prince is, like, I mean, he's, like, a slut, is, like, the truth, because yeah. So, and he, like, basically, like, during the second act, like, when the giant is, like, attacking everything, he's like, you know what, let me, like, divert real quick to just, like, have an affair with this woman, because why not? Because I can. And so he's, like, basically flirting with the baker's wife, and the baker's wife has always been, like, dreamy about the idea of princehood, and so she ends up, like, falling for it, and we'll talk about all the details of that later. But I was just thinking about, like, the fact that, like, Zay's whole role in that show is to be irresistibly charming. That's, like, the prince's thing, and is just flirting with people all the time. And so I was thinking about, like, the idea of, like, Zay doing that, you know, performing that on stage, and then so it's like someone backstage is like, hey, Charlie, aren't you supposed to be backstage for, like, the thing you're supposed to be on? He's like, no, I can't be backstage right now. No, I can't. He's like, I can't watch that song. Like, I have to be somewhere else.
Yeah. They're like, Charlie, you're meant to be in the wings. He's like, no. I'm
gonna stay over here.
Yeah.
I'll be there. Don't worry.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I just, Don't worry about it.
So yeah, this song was emo, but we'll have some fun when we talk about Into the Woods. At least it's not all emo. It's still emo, but it's not as emo as this.
Yeah.
So anyway, emo song over for now.
Hooray.
We're getting to the end of Lucas's
Oof,
piece here.
we are.
He's asleep in the booth. He's dozed off, which I will just say about that. Again, sucks that he feels like he lives there, but at the same time, it's nice that like it feels like a
Safe.
safe enough space that he
Yeah.
can doze off there. Yeah, I think that's really important.
He really does feel safe in the school. It's like it is his safe space, which is it's kind of funny because he is so like anti the school or whatever. Everyone's like, he doesn't want to be here. But like it's interesting in the way that Maya is so much like bigger there and Farkle it is his
Hmm.
safe space as well. And even Riley, like to get away from like her mum and the drama at home and
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's also
The
his
school
safe
is
space.
special. The
It's
school's special, Asher.
being a part of something
Yeah.
special makes you special.
Glee.
Mm.
Yeah. So basically, he's in there. Isidore comes in. It wakes him up, and it's like, "Oops, sorry." But the two of them have a rapport, so like whatever. And then they just have this moment of Lucas being like, your job's really hard, and he's just like, "Wow, no kidding, you're
Mm-hmm.
joking. I never would have thought crazy." But it's very playful, and then they have a nice moment where Issa's like, I trusted you. Like, I never doubted you could do it. So it's going to be fine. And I love them, besties. So Issa goes, and then, well, it's funny that Lucas, like, tries to say good luck, but is like, how do I say this? Like, good luck? Break a leg? Whatever? I don't know. That shit. um, and then once it's like, okay, we're about to get ready to go into showtime, Lucas grabs the script binder, and we head out, and we begin the kind of transitiony song to get us to the actual opening night, which is, of course, the ever classic Les Mis One Day More.
I mean, it is the Les Mis song, I think. I mean, they're all iconic considering. I mean, because I don't even know how I knew all these songs, but I definitely knew them
Yes, yes.
before I saw it ever.
It's true.
Like,
I mean, there are some songs in this musical where it's just like they have transcended musical. Like it's
yeah,
like people just know it. It's
yeah,
got
like there's
that
so many
reputation.
musicals and I couldn't name a single song, I couldn't hum a single tune, but Les Mis for some reason,
Hmm.
I think it just really it does really hit you right in the heart, and I think
Yeah,
these songs stick with people just like, dare I say it, this episode because it has been very a lot.
so true. So true. Yeah, this is a song that I feel like if I was writing this episode now, I would have gone into this way more.
Hmm.
It's like
I can
very, very like,
imagine.
here's the song, and then it's just done. And in some ways, I think that's fine because again, this song kind of speaks for itself. I think that it doesn't need a bunch of fanfare, but I'm thinking about
Yeah.
like if you think about just the episode that just came out 404. I believe you've gone to this part already, but yes, you have. Masquerade,
Yes.
like that
So
whole
good. Oh
sequence,
my
like
gosh, so long.
that was like
Yeah.
step by step, like here's everything that's happening, here's the lines being assigned to people, and like to me it's like it needed that sense of like you following the flow of it. I
Hmm.
think if I was writing this episode now, I could have done that with One Day More. Like I think easily we could have built that to be more like step by step big sequence,
Hmm.
but at the same time I don't think it needs to be. So it's okay that it's as brief it is. The main point is that Lucas gets to have a line, so good for him.
Yes. Yeah, I
My
love that.
place is here. I fight with you. So,
Yeah, his place is here because he's safe with them, and I feel like it's almost like this. Yeah, it's like this foreshadowing that he's like he is in the school to like stay, and we will see that kind of
mhm, mhm,
ongoing thing. And I mean, if you're like me and you can just sort of imagine, like I could just listen to the song and be like, "Ooh, I can imagine what's happening," because that is, what the brain does when it
yeah.
loves blowbos and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I think I can imagine. Like it's mainly like you would have been describing all the different things that like go into launching the show. So
Yeah.
That's the main
And
thing.
we know what roles everybody's playing,
Yeah,
because they have roles assigned, except for Lucas stealing this line. But like, yeah, so we don't need to do as much. Like with Masquerade, it's like they weren't doing the show, so it was like we had to kind of really clarify where people
yeah.
were coming in. That's not so much the case here. But I will say, I'm just gonna with the idea of this song, I'm just gonna ring my bell. I'm gonna ring my
Ooh,
little bell,
okay.
and then I'm gonna not say anything else, but just putting that out there
With this song.
with this song, with One Day More.
Okay. I'm
So
keeping an
just
eye on that. Okay.
yeah, put a little pin in it.